In today's Project Zomboid challenge, I will be attempting to survive as a functioning alcoholic. In Project Zomboid, being drunk doesn't only mean you have a blurry filter on your screen. It also makes tripping over fences and windows a constant issue, increases fatigue significantly, and makes all driving controls delay. To simulate an alcoholic's life further, I'll be ingesting 0 water and only drunk driving. If I can somehow manage to survive the constant looting required to support my addiction, I also have to consume alcohol every 3 hours or my character dies. While making my character, I chose the alcoholic trait as well as the light drinker trait, and here are the rest of the traits for any nerds that care. I spawned in a large house in Rosewood. Absolutely wasted thanks to the blackout drunk trait. Unfortunately, this location wasn't ideal. It wasn't anywhere near the places that actually mattered, the bar or the liquor store. Now, normally I'd be thrilled to spawn with a fridge full of food, but without any alcohol in sight, it was basically useless. I had to move immediately. If I didn't find booze soon, this run would end before it even started. While sprinting towards the neighboring house, I met my first zombies of the run. I took out the first one easily and decided to finish off the second before slipping into the garage window. Entering windows while blackout drunk is a huge gamble because half the time you don't even make it through and you end up putting yourself in a really vulnerable position. So I had to check every angle before climbing through. Thankfully, the garage gave me my first weapon. With that, I started hopping between houses, tearing through kitchens as fast as possible for any kind of alcohol. Zombies were really only a mild inconvenience right now because I was just trying to dodge them. Everything was fine until I reached the pastor's house, which is right next to the Rosewood Church.
What the heck?
Because of all the sprinting between houses I had been doing, I unknowingly gathered a small horde behind me. Right before this, I had eaten an entire bag of chips on the way there, and thanks to the auto brewery trait, carbs convert directly into alcohol. So I was completely drunk while trying to clear out these 2 zombies. I managed to kill these 2, but then the front windows shattered and 2 more crawled in. While I was finishing these off, another zombie came in through the other side of the house, and there was more outside, so I was forced to make a run for it. I had maybe an hour left before I died from no alcohol, so I sprinted towards the grocery store. It was my real last chance. But even after tearing through the aisles, there wasn't a single drop of liquor. What kind of supermarket doesn't stock the single most important survival item? I ran across the street into a parking lot where I was ready to accept my death until I spotted a distillery car. Yes, are we serious? That's actually huge. It actually had 5 bottles of whiskey inside. I chugged one like my life depended on it, because it basically did. This was going to keep me going long enough to make it to the only bar in town, the Bright Flag Inn. I cleared the zombies in the parking lot, a lot slower than usual thanks to my drunken fatigue, and finally got inside the bar. To my relief, it had tons of alcohol, enough for a day or 2 at least. So at Rosewood was kind of the worst place for an alcoholic, as there wasn't any other for sure places to find alcohol. So I knew I'd have to drive to Muldra eventually. Cleared the rest of the zombies inside and tossed some corpses outside. I wanted to make the bar my base for now, because honestly, where else would a drunk want to live besides a bar? I still had some daylight left, so I went out and searched for a car. And with true YouTuber luck, the first vehicle I found actually worked. We had a working car for now, but we still needed gas, and the Rosewood gas station was always crawling with zombies. I'm gonna have to go for it though. It was so hard to drive. I was trying to make sure the engine didn't take any damage, but I kept hitting zombies because of the super delayed controls you get while you're drunk in this game. Despite a few close calls, I ended up actually making it to the gas station where there were tons of zombies. I was still using the hammer from earlier, and it was pretty slow going. There were like 6 or 7 zombies here in the first group, but they were all pretty spread out, so I was able to kill them all. But this other group here was way too big for me to take out, so I split them up by running through the back side of the gas station. There was a small group in the back I had to take out, and then I started picking off the ones inside. I had a moment to rest, so I took a quick alcohol break and headed back out to try to fill the car up so I could get the hell out of here. I was able to get the car half filled, but I heard another horde approaching, and after killing a few decided we were just gonna have to take what we had and leave. There were way too many. I returned to the bar exhausted and slept as darkness crept in. I probably dreamt of liquor. While sleeping, you can't die from no alcohol, but the second I woke up, I had to chug my morning cup of joe. After that, I headed towards the shopping district to search the apartment complexes. One of the last places I could look before I would be forced to leave town. Going around the back of the shops, it helped me dodge the worst of the zombies, but I still had to fight a decent amount of them to reach the stairs. I really couldn't risk getting trapped upstairs, so clearing them out was mandatory. I checked every single apartment and found just one bottle of alcohol. There was still a lot of daylight left, and I really needed to find more alcohol and a better weapon if I could help it. So I decided to make my way to the fire station. There's a kitchen upstairs in the fire department, and usually I can find tons of axes, and maybe a miracle bottle of booze. Thankfully, when I got there was only a couple in the area when I arrived, and it wasn't too hard to take them down. Inside the large firehouse, I actually found a few axes, and when I got upstairs, I checked the kitchen, but of course, there was literally zero alcohol here as well. Definitely going to have to head to a new town tomorrow if I wanted to make it a full week. I had enough alcohol for the night, so I decided to sleep at the fire station instead of making it back to the bar. The plan for the day was to make it back to the bar and begin the long drunk drive to Muldra to get more alcohol. On the way back to the bar, I searched a few houses to no avail. This town was no fun. When I made it back to the bar, I loaded up my car with my remaining alcohol and began driving to Muldra. I definitely had enough gas to make it. Let's just hope I don't run myself off the road on the way there. I was drinking and driving the whole way there and had a lot of close calls, especially as I entered town limits. If Zomboid had a DUI mechanic, I definitely would get one. At one point, I almost died because I slammed into a power pole with zombies all around me. When I pulled up to the rescue rifle in Muldra, I didn't see much zombies in the area. There were only a couple at first, and thanks to a crowbar I found at the fire station, it wasn't too hard to take these first few out. But as I entered the bar, that was another story. The first floor was empty. As I entered, I heard a bunch of footsteps upstairs. I tried to walk up to see what we were working with and immediately got a scratch from a zombie, so I backed all the way out to the parking lot. Tons of zombies started coming from all sides of me, from the bar especially. I was slowly taking them down. I was getting super exerted at one point though, and I had to get in the car in an effort to lessen my exertion. This worked a little, and I started fighting again, and eventually was making some progress. Besides a few close calls, I somehow came out of it alive. When I was finally fully rested, I was able to start checking behind the bar. There was a ton of alcohol here, enough to probably last us a few more days. I started moving it all into a room upstairs so I could stockpile it. I tripped on the staircase here a few times while moving the loot upstairs from like a bug I think, but I didn't get any wounds from that. Surely this little staircase here is harmless and it's not gonna do anything terrible to me later. Started clearing up the bar a bit, getting rid of the bodies and just making it the perfect alcoholic paradise. All of this alcohol was great, but I intended to create a stockpile of goods so we could just last as long as possible. And since there was a lot of daylight left, I decided to head over to the liquor store. It was all the way on the other side of Muldra, and I was unable to take my car as I had just broken it when I was clearing this place out. So I headed out with enough liquor to last a day or so in hopes we could get even more at the new destination. I checked a few houses on the way, stumbling through windows at seemingly every turn. Of course, I found nothing in any of the houses and I was getting drowsy. With still quite a long walk ahead of us, I decided to sleep inside a small house for the night. I woke up after only a few hours, which was rude. You'd think alcohol would help with sleeping. In a nearby house, I actually managed to find some wine, the first alcohol found in a house, and I immediately got jump scared by some freaky naked zombies, earning another injury. Running was what I did most of the day today, just trying to get to the liquor store so I could keep stockpiling alcohol. I was just trying to avoid as many fights as possible in order to avoid any drunken injuries. Despite this, I still managed to get an injury on my foot from jumping a fence. Shortly after, I got another injury in the exact same way. By the time I got to the liquor store, I had 5 injuries just from jumping fences. I mean, what else am I supposed to do when running from zombies? But the liquor store was completely packed full of liquor. The only thing holding me back was how little inventory space I had. I would need to come back here and grab the rest with a new car. So for now, I grabbed as much as I could carry and started my run back. This time just running down the road instead of going through houses again, so it didn't take as long. And I actually made it back before dark, and after drinking some of my new alcohol, I fell asleep. We needed to grab the rest of the liquor from the liquor store and begin fixing up the bar into my base. There were a few zombies out today, but thanks to my fire axe, they were not too hard to take out. I had left some alcohol in my broken down car, but I actually discovered I had not broken the car. So that whole run yesterday and all those injuries were completely avoidable if I would have just checked this. So I decided to just drive back to the liquor store with this, just trying to be super careful as my engine was almost completely broken. Of course, as soon as I pulled out, I slammed into a street pole again and ended up crashing into a fence about a block or so away from the liquor store. I was not not going to be walking all the way back, so I decided to just look for a car in the area. So that's exactly what I did, and after checking a few cars, I found one with enough gas to try to get over to the gas station next door. Now, I did make it there, but unfortunately there was tons of zombies here, because this gas station was not the same one that I cleared from earlier. There was like way more than last time. I had to get the gas here because my car was not going to make it any farther with how much was left in the tank, and I was forced to fight the biggest group yet. This time I had an axe, so it was going well at first, but then a zombie came from behind me and I was forced to retreat into the gas station. I did my strat from earlier and wrapped around the backside and started picking off zombies one by one. And originally I was just gonna make a break for the pumps after that, but there was still way too many in the area. I wasn't even making a dent in them. Fighting this much was making me super exerted, so I decided to get in the car and try to mow down as many as possible before my gas ran out. This was working okay, but the sound drew way more over and I ran out of gas really quickly. I was just trying to run around the building and draw enough away that I could just grab a little gas, at this point just going to bail and go home. At one point, I let enough away to slightly fill the car up, giving me more gas to kill any stragglers. When I had finally taken down most of the horde, I filled my car up most of the way straight from the gas pump. This took so much time. It was actually starting to get dark and I didn't want to risk it, so I ended up just going straight home instead of going to the liquor store. To add to this terrible, terrible day, as soon as I got home, I was drinking some beer and I somehow like glitched on top of the stairs and fell down and fractured my leg. I was now an alcoholic cripple. We will just leave this problem for tomorrow. When I woke up the next morning, I discovered that there was some outbuilding that was all boarded up. It was some sort of storage place for the motel next door, and it actually had some planks inside. So I splinted my leg. With this, I was able to fully loot the liquor store with my van, and I did so with no issues. I had so much liquor now, enough to last another week if I wanted. So I decided to focus on making the bar a home, but I definitely wasn't going to live near these steps anymore, so I just moved into a tiny hotel room across from the bar. Seems fitting considering the challenge that we're in. I put up some lovely decor, which was just a bunch of empty bottles. These are actually all the bottles that I consumed so far in the run. I had spent most of the day just decorating. I was getting kind of bored, so I decided to try to make a run to the bar on the other side of town. I had completely forgot this one existed because it's all the way on the outskirts on the other side of Muldra. It was quite the drive away, but I had this perfectly good van and I wasn't too worried about it. Driving down the highway, there wasn't one car in sight. I mean, I was halfway through Muldra and I hadn't seen one yet. So I was speeding up and then one car came out of nowhere and I slammed into it at like top speed. There was two zombies right next to it, so I had no choice to jump out, and I somehow got injured by one that just happened to be standing there. I was gravely injured and just barely got the bandage on my neck in time. I had no car, no health, and I still had this stupid bum leg. There were zombies everywhere because of the sound of the car crash. I was forced to slowly walk over to a furniture store that had glass everywhere. Zombies could see me from all sides and I had nowhere to hide. I really didn't know what to do and I just drank a bunch of vodka. I decided to just fall asleep on the couch. If I made it through the night, I made it through the night. But unfortunately, as these things go, I had realized I had a bite on my neck, not lacerated like originally thought. And I was already slowly taking damage from the zombie virus. It's over for me. I guess that's a pretty fitting end to an alcoholic run, dying because of drunk driving. But yeah, I took the bandage off and just let it happen because I was gonna die either way. Now, what did we learn from this? Don't drink and drive, but if you do, like, just don't crash your car. Easy, right? Oh my god, I didn't even make it 7 days. But yeah, can you survive 7 days as an alcoholic? The answer is no. Don't do it.